This is the sewing instructions for Radiance block of the month, month 6. So I already went ahead and I cut everything out in my previous video. So the first step says to take draw a diagonal line across the wrong side of all of the 2-inch squares. So that's quite a few squares. That's the F, H, J, L, M, and N. So since it's so many squares, I'm just gonna camp out at the table with my my little 6-inch ruler and my friction pen, and I'm gonna draw the diagonal line on the back of the pieces from corner to corner. And then we'll come back and we'll meet at the sewing machine. So step 2, it tells you to take 2 of the fabric H and 1 of the fabric I and arrange them like this. So I went ahead and did that. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna go in, you're gonna stitch, snowball these corners with these squares. Make sure they're lined up really well here. All right. And then you'll notice when I stitched these, I stitched just to the outside towards this edge. That way when you go to turn them, you're gonna line this corner up exactly with this square and press it. And that way you'll have a nice, perfectly square block with these snowball corners on it. All right, so after you press that open, you'll have this block here. And then you're gonna go back and flip this back up, and you wanna trim this down to 1/4 of an inch. So I just come in with my ruler and little ruler, and then trim this little tag off. All right, so then I just save them over here. I stitch them together and use them on a mini quilt, but anyway, that is your waist corner. All right, and so you'll end up with this block here. So then the next step is to take fabric F, which is this fabric, and you're gonna line that up with this corner, and you'll snowball that. All right, so you'll stitch from this corner to that corner, and then same thing, you're gonna press it open, trim it, and you should have 4 of these blocks. So step 3, they've combined it and just kind of piled it all into one. You're gonna make 4 blocks. These blocks will be just like the one we made in step 2, but you'll use fabric I, L, and F. So I went ahead and pulled those. You're gonna need 4 of the I's. That should take all the rest of these paisleys. The L's, it should use all of these. You'll need 8 of them. So these are gonna go on the corners like the previous block. And then again, fabric F will be that final corner. So it's gonna look just like this block, only you'll have the dark on the corners and then that same corner block. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw those together, and then I'll come back and then we'll hit step 2 and 3 of this third section. So we're gonna work on this second unit from step 3, and that is the larger square of the M and then the small J. You're gonna make 8 of them. All right, so that is this big square, and then the J, which is the blue paisley. All right, so you're gonna just snowball that on the corner, just like you just did the other ones, but you're only gonna do 1 corner. So you'll have 8 of them with just this little different color corner on it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna chain piece those, and then you'll press it and then trim it, and then those will be done. You should, again, end up with 8 of these. So the third block of step number 3 is fabrics D and M, and then you add the F last. So you're going to take fabric D, and then you'll snowball the corners just like you did the other ones. So this corner, and this corner. And you want to do these first. Make sure you do the fabric M first, and then the F fabric, which is this again, will go on these corners. But make sure you do the darker ones first, because you can see in here that fabric F overlaps them. And you're going to have 4. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do those snowball corners, and we'll come back and put the fabric F on the other corners. All right, so we went ahead and we attached the M corners to fabric D, and we're going to go back and we're going to add the fabric F pieces. So again, you'll snowball, and you're going to snowball both corners. So each corner is going to be have a triangle in it. All right, so you'll go back and you'll do these, and then we'll come back to the ironing board and press them open and then trim. All right, so when you finish, you'll have a block that looks like this with the 4 corners snowballed on it. Step 4 and 5 are, they're all, basically it's a flying geese unit. So you're gonna take fabric N and fabric J. So that's these 2 right here. And you're gonna do a flying, you're gonna make this into flying geese. So you're gonna sew, there should be 8 of them. So you're gonna sew 1 corner here, and I do all 8 of them, chain piece them, and then you have to press them open, trim them, and then you go back and you're gonna do the other corner. All right, so we'll get to it in the next step, but your overlap here, it should be 1/4 of an inch. That way when you go back and put the pieces together, you've got a nice clean point here. But right now we're gonna do step 1, which is to sew the snowball corner on all 8 of these paisley pieces. I went ahead and stitched these, and I wanted to show you just how I do it from an online video class that I took, and it'll make your flying geese really squared up nicely and accurate. So I wait to trim this, and I'm gonna see if I can do this with one hand. So when I press this, I just match this corner up down here, and then I take the iron and run it across there, and I keep my finger on this, and that way you keep a perfect rectangle with this. You can see on this one where I match that up, and you know, sometimes it'll seem like it's coming up a little short, but when you put the iron on it, it'll stretch like this one. See, when I fold it over, see how it raises up? But when you put that iron on that, that's gonna flatten that out, and it'll keep that perfect rectangle for you. And that way when you go back and add your other snowballed corner, it'll be an exact 1/4 inch. If your seams here and here 1/4 of an inch and consistent, you should have a consistent 1/4 of an inch to this point. So the first half of this flying block is all pressed, and then you have to go back before you add the other one on the other side, the other wing, I guess they call it. You want to trim off 1/4 of an inch. So I trimmed all these off of these blocks. And again, like I said, I save all these for my mini quilts, but you can throw them away. But you trim that 1/4 of an inch off, and then fold this back, and you're ready to go back to the machine to sew the other half of the flying geese wings on. Step 5 is more flying geese. If you didn't do flying geese very well before this, you should be able to do them pretty well after the repetition of this block. So the first one in step 5 is L and N, which are these two. It's the paisley and the dark blue. I went ahead and did those. There's 8 of those. So the next ones, these ones you'll have to be careful. There's 8 of each unit, but they're the dark blue on number P, and then M is this mid-grade blue, and then fabric F, I believe this is. But you'll notice that they're mirror image of each other. So you're going to do 8 of each one. I went ahead and started mine just so that I don't get them confused. Let's see if you can see this. So I went ahead and I attached the mid-grade blue to the dark background. And then the same corner, I'm doing the fabric F. All right, so I'm going to go back and then I'll do my snowball on this corner and this corner, and you'll have your mirror image like they have in here. There's this flipped, so see, you'll have the mirror image of these 8 blocks and these 8 blocks. All right, so I'm going to go back and I'll chain piece these and these onto the units that I already prepared, which I pressed them, but I haven't trimmed them yet. So I do need to trim that 1/4 inch before I attach this other snowball corner. All right, and then you'll have your completed flying geese. And they should all turn out with this 1/4 inch edge on here. So when you go to stitch them together, you should not lose this point if you keep this at a 1/4 inch also. All right, so steps 6 and 7, the easiest way to do this is to lay it out on your ironing pad, double and triple check it and make sure that you have the correct units, 2A to 2D and 2A to 2C. So what I did is I took unit 2A and I split it. There should be 4 in this stack, 4 in this stack. And then this is unit 2D. So you can refer back to unit 2D, and the light color, cream color, is on the left. So I went ahead and I put 4. So these two are going to match up. You're going to sew these together, 1/4 inch. There should be 4 units of this one. And then the next one is 2C. So that's the one with the cream color on the right. And so I put 4 in this stack. So that took care of the first 4, 4. And then the next step, I split 2B into 2 stacks. So there's 4 in each stack. And then you match it up with 2C, which is the one with the cream color on the right, and 2D on the left. So I double, triple checked this, that the first one looked correct, and then the second one is actually a mirror image of that. And then same with this, these are mirror image. So I'm just going to take the whole ironing board. I don't want to get them mixed up. I'm going to take my whole ironing mat to the sewing machine and sew them in groups of these 2 together, these 2, these 2, these 2. So you'll have 4, 8, 12, and 16. You'll have 16 blocks. And then I'm not sure about which direction to press them, but we'll come back to that after we get these sewn together. All right, so we're in the final step. I went ahead and I pressed all of the blocks down. They seem to lay better like that, and it didn't specify which way to press them. So now comes the fun part. I like this part where you piece it together like a puzzle. So I went ahead and laid it out on my design board. The pieces we just did go in the corners, and you just want to make sure you're laying it out according to this picture. That these F floral blocks, they're in the two corners over here. So when you put it together, it should look like this block down here. But I go ahead and I piece one block, the rows together first. So 1, 2, and 3 go together, and then these 3 go together, and then these 3, and then you'll press them in opposite directions. So I'll probably press this top row, press the seams out, and then these all press towards the center, and then these out, and then they'll nest together when you go to press row 1, or so when you go to sew row 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3. All right, so I'll go ahead and I'll piece those together, and we'll come back and see what the finished block looks like. All right, the blocks are all put together and pressed, and they turned out like the picture, so we're good. And these are all the little half square triangles I trimmed away from the snowball corners, so that'll go in my mini quilt stash.